The eternal city built on 7 hills. From afar, a vast prospect of stone, but at close quarters, its magnificence is revealed. Rome was and remains the very heart of the ancient world. The key to that world is here on the Capitoline Hill. Michelangelo restyled the piazza in 1536. Flanked by Castor and Pollux, a broad flight of steps leads up to the Senator's Palace, now the City Hall of Rome. An unostentatious statue recalls the 14th century tribune Cola di Rienzo. His incendiary speeches fired the crowds to a fury, and they killed him. Today's young Romans may know little of the city's turbulent past, though a visit to the nearby Capitoline Museum would make it vividly immediate. The famous equestrian statue of Emperor Marcus Aurelius is there, in restoration after the ravages of acid rain. The ancient Romans profoundly admired Hellenistic culture. The philosopher's room is filled with the busts of the great Greeks, from blind Homer to Epicurus. The Roman emperors sometimes claimed descent from Homer's heroes, from the people of Aeneas in Troy. The famous Dying Gaul, one of the most perfect works of antiquity. It was erected by King Attalus I of Pergamum to commemorate his victory over the Galatians around the year 200 BC. Visitors to the museum are always captivated by this celebrated statue of a boy extracting a thorn from his foot. The legendary she-wolf, symbol of the city of Rome, stood on the Capitol in Cicero's day, his writings tell us. She is suckling Romulus and Remus, the twins said to have founded Rome. Both they and the city owed everything to her. At the foot of the Capitoline Hill is the Roman Forum. In the 1st century AD, Julius Caesar had homes on the site demolished to make way for a forum. His plans were carried out by subsequent emperors. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the Christians built their churches on the foundations of the old temples. The Forum fell into ruin. When tourists now walk Mussolini's grand Via dei Fori Imperiali to the Colosseum, there's one point where they always pause. 4 stone reliefs trace the growth of the mighty Roman Empire from the foundation of the city in 753 BC to its fall in the year AD 330 by the modern calendar.
You realize they're from England, all Italy, all Europe, and then Asia and Africa. You see, all the while there are the Roman concrete.
The Forum extends southward as far as the Palatine Hill. From here we have the finest view of the capital. In the Forum and on the Palatine Hill, the magic and history of ancient Rome are palpable wherever we go. We have only to sit in the shade of the columns and read the pages of historian Livy, and the Rome of classical antiquity with all its festivals, disasters and everyday bustle comes to life. Until it was burned down in the Great Fire of 52 BC, the Curia Hostilia was the Roman Senate House. It was later rebuilt. In the fire, coins even melted on the stones of the Forum, but the future held worse in store for Rome. With the fall of the empire, the city was wide open to looting Goths, Vandals and Norsemen. And after the grimmest devastation of them all, the sack of Rome in 1527, the Forum was used for grazing cattle. The Via Sacra, or Sacred Way. Behind the mighty columns of a temple built by Antonius is another church, San Lorenzo in Miranda. A stone's throw further on are the remains of the commanding Basilica of Maxentius, completed under Constantine the Great. The Arch of Titus commemorated the capture of Jerusalem in AD 70 and the destruction of the Holy City by the Romans. On the Palatine Hill there are also relics of bygone splendor. Emperor Augustus was born here and built a palatial residence on the hill, where he lived for many years with his Empress Livia. Later, the Emperors Tiberius and Domitian also resided here. But these brick walls are all that still stands of those palaces. As long as the Colosseum stands, Rome will stand, declared Saint Venerabilis. And when the Colosseum falls, Rome will fall. And if Rome falls, the whole world will fall. Building was begun under Emperor Vespasian in AD 79. The Colosseum's outer walls are 50 meters high, the longest axis 190 meters, and it could hold 70,000 people. In this great amphitheatre, the pleasure-seeking Romans watched gladiators fight and saw animals baited and Christians executed. Panem et circenses, bread and games. No emperor would have dared to close the Colosseum. The mob wanted its sensations. Archaeologists are currently conducting a detailed survey. Opposite the Colosseum stands the majestic Arch of Constantine. The people and Senate of Rome erected it to commemorate the emperor's victory near the Milvian Bridge in AD 312. Constantine fought in the sign of the cross and established Christianity in the empire. There are countless domes and towers atop the churches and monasteries of Rome, reputedly more than 300. And more are planned for the year 2000, declared a holy year. It's sometimes difficult to tell churches and temples apart. The Pantheon on Piazza della Rotonda is in fact both. It was built by the great commander Marcus Agrippa, right-hand man of Augustus. Fronted by Greek columns, it's a magnificent rotunda, crowned by the biggest dome in ancient Rome. An opening 9 meters across, known as the Eye of God, admits the sunlight. The dome itself has a radius of 43 meters, a masterly achievement. Pope Boniface IV had 28 wagon loads of martyrs' relics moved to the Pantheon, transforming a heathen temple into a church. The great painter Raphael is buried here. Near the artist lie the Italian kings Victor Emmanuel II and Umberto I. Loyal monarchists stand watch by their tombs and collect signatures to petition restoration of the monarchy. The picturesque square is popular with young Romans on summer evenings. The spirit of Rome is indeed eternal. Bernini's famous elephant bearing the obelisk seems to be having fun. Near the Palazzo Venezia, which was once a papal residence and later Mussolini's seat of office, is the most famous column in all Rome, the column of Trajan, commanding the Forum Traiani. Emperor Trajan was seen as the founder of the Golden Age. Under his rule, the empire achieved its greatest extent. The reliefs on the column commemorate his conquest of the Dacians. This is the heart of Rome, what every tourist comes to see, and one of the favourite sights has long been the Spanish steps leading up to the church of Trinità dei Monti. The loveliest steps in the world, a place to sit, see and be seen. But no other spot in the old city of Rome has the magical charm of the Piazza Navona. Artists and musicians, entertainers and hawkers sell their wares and skills to the passing throng. The bustle never stops in the many cafes and restaurants, and a cool place to be on these hot summer nights, as every Roman well knows, is Bernini's famous Fountain of the Four River Gods. Rome is the great city of fountains, and what better way to conclude our taste of the dolce vita than a nighttime visit to the Trevi Fountain. Lovers are not alone in hoping the old magic still works, for they say that if you cast a coin into the fountain, you will return to Rome, again and again. Arrivederci Roma.